In previous examples, we've looked at creating things like a flyer and a handout, and we've used some real basic styling that's available to you inside of Microsoft Word. But this time we want to look at some specific examples of how we can use styles, as well as how we can modify those styles, controlling our text. So we're going to look a lot more in detail about controlling text from not a graphical perspective and try and make it look pretty, but from creating a functional, easy to read document. I already have some text here. I just selected it all with Control A, and copy it with Control C, and now I'm going to paste it into Microsoft Word. Now there's a couple of ways that I can paste, and I could paste using Control V, or in my upper left hand side I have a paste option. What's nice about that is I have a paste special, and paste special allows me to paste in a couple different ways depending upon if I have graphics or if I have Unicode text or unformatted text, etc. So any of those will work. If I just do regular paste, it's going to come in and paste all of my information as you expect. Now, just like with some examples before, this is lorem ipsum text. And what that basically means is that I got some text here that's not going to make any sense. That way we can focus on what it is that we're doing and not on what this context is saying. Now, I'm going to come up here to my lorem ipsum real quick, this line, and I'm going to select title. We've already done this before, and this was pretty easy for us. Now, with this little text, we're going to treat it as a header. And headers are what you might think of when you built a outline back in English class. You have different levels of headers. Each one should support what the overall theme of the paper is. That would be based on the title. Heading 2s need to come after a heading 1. They should relate to the heading 1, and they're going to help provide support for this. Now, obviously, since we're using words that are just kind of gibberish to us, that's going to be a little bit harder or easier depending upon how your perspective is. So I'm just going to come here and put this heading here, put a heading 2 here, another heading 1, and that's going to be all my headings. So right now I have some information, I have some styles, and this is working okay. Now, there are a few things that you might want to do a little bit better. A lot of times text is going to be defined as how big things are. This could be anything from a corporate standard to requirements that an instructor gives you. Now, by default, Microsoft Word is using 11-point default font size. So I'm just going to come over here, and if I want to increase this, I could select my text for my paragraph, and I could bump this up to 12 or even 14 to make it a little bit easier to see. Now, the problem is trying to go in and find all of my fonts. I can't just simply go in and do this, because if I select everything, then I'm going to get mixed font sizes because I'm dealing with the font sizes of my headings as well as my regular text. So let's see how we're going to fix this real quick. Just as we had originally set a title, by default, your text is probably going to come in as normal. And I can find that up in my styles. Now, if my normal isn't what I wish it was, I can modify it. So I'm going to bring this down to a 12-point font. That's a pretty standard size. Right-click, and I'm going to update normal to match my selection. Now, everything that was styled as a normal gets automatically updated for me. And this is a really, really simple and easy thing to do. Let's look at some other simple things that you might run into. I'm going to come in here and right-click over my text, and this is just part of my normal text. Select my paragraph. I'm going to specify maybe that I want to have a little bit more spacing afterwards. Typically, we're going to use the same font size as our font in order to create that extra spacing. That helps us to quickly identify that there's a break in a paragraph. So I'm going to bump that up to 12. My line spacing, I'm going to change to double. That's because a lot of times, especially if you're doing a written paper in English class, you need to have a double line spacing. If they require a hanging indent, all I have to do is say first line, then specify by default comes up a 1/2 inch, which is actually what the standard was in the old days for that. I can change indentation on my left and right sides, and also I can mirror my indents. So if I'm doing something, for example, as a printed book, it's the same on my left and right pages. I'm going to click OK. You can see what this looks like now. I'm going to come back to my styles, right click, and update normal to match selection. This goes in and fixes everything for me. Now you will notice it also did change the heading. So I would have to go in and change my heading and titles and things like that if I didn't want the hanging indent. Now another common thing that you'll have to change from time to time is how is my page laid out. So I can come up here to layout and I can work on my indentation, my spacing, different things like that. One of the things I'm going to look for though is my margins. Now by default, it's 1 inch around. Some places will have different levels of margins required. And you can even choose the custom margin. By clicking on orientation, I can choose whether I want portrait, which is the long side is vertical, or landscape, which the long side is horizontal. I can click on size and get different standard sizes for my paper. So if I, for example, wanted to print an 8.5 by 14, which is considered legal size, or if I was printing on sometimes a little bit larger than standard letter paper, I could do that. Those are some basic things that I can do as far as laying out my page and controlling what my margins are. I can adjust my fonts and font sizes and even update my styles throughout the whole process. If I need to go in and change the font style for my headings, I can do that just the same as I did for my normal style. Now you might be asking, well, what types of styles are there? Well, if you look at your styles and want to know what else do you need, there is a drop down to see all your styles. You can even create a custom style if you need to. That way, if you want to have something for like pull quotes or something else that's not necessarily in here, because not all themes are going to have them, you can create your own. The last thing I want to show you real quickly, if you're doing a paper that you might find, is come to your insert and adding a header and footer section. So these allow you to modify something that's on every page. So I'm going to click footer. And you can choose some different footer styles depending upon what you want. You can even have multiple columns. I'm going to choose the blank footer real quick. And it has a section here to just type here. Now I'm going to come over to my far right hand side and I have a right hand tab button. We'll see how to create different tabs in a little bit. And what I want to do is I want to choose to insert my page number. Now, notice I can put in at my current location, I can say that I have the page number. If I go to second page, you can see a number 2 there. It doesn't just put the number there. I can format my page number, so I can start at a specific number if I want to. I can include a chapter number if I need to. I can also do things like add the date and time. That way, if we want to keep track of when the document was last updated, we could automatically incorporate that. So that's just a quick example of being able to use your footers. If you want to go switch to your header, you can click the Go to Header button. And now you have up here in the header. You have things such as your document info, so you can put your name if you want to, your document title if you need that. You have document properties that can be set. You can put those in there, and these will be added to the top of every page. So these are some different things that you can look at, including the options to change whether they show on the first page or if they're different on odd and even pages. So that's just kind of how you can do some basic formatting with Microsoft Word of both your text, your margins, and your headers and footers.